This Power Rangers Beast Morphers episode review is intended for and targeted to adult fans of the series.
The doctors Hello there, heroes. I'm the Orange Ranger, and welcome to another Power Rangers Beast Morphers 2.0 episode review. Last week, Beast Morphers came back, still operating at a very high level, if not specifically impressing me in any particular area. Now that they've established how this story starts anew, maybe they can find something more exciting in the ocean. Let's take a look at the second episode of Beast Morphers 2.0, Save Our Shores. But before we begin, I'd greatly appreciate it, heroes, if you'd make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Make sure you have those notifications set up, you ring that bell, so you get notified whenever I post brand new videos. And if you'd like to lend any financial support to the channel, consider checking me out on Patreon or Ko-fi. Alright, let's start the review. Turns out Blaze was able to get his karate teaching job back despite being absent for several months. Must have a really nice boss. Ooh, maybe Grid Battle Force secretly runs the place. Would explain why the Rangers get all the perks while they're there. Anyway, his class ends and he meets up with the Rangers, who ask where Roxy is. Roxy got herself a new job that she's apparently only had time to tell Robbie about. How convenient for us that he now needs to explain it to his friends. Roxy's aunt, Regina Collins, got her a job at their family company, Collins Corp. I'll try to mention the name a little bit later. Steele points out that, hey, Collins Corp is on that TV right now. A shipping accident has led to a gigantic trash spill on a nearby beach. The Rangers feel like Roxy is probably there and say they need to go help. I kind of like the activism, but do they? Seriously, I'm back and forth on whether they should feel an obligation to help, either as people or as the Rangers. They head over to the beach, and apparently this shipping accident was just like a plane exploding over this beach. The beach is covered from one end to the other in completely random-looking garbage. Roxy sees the Rangers arrive and welcomes the help, handing them all trash bags. She does not, however, hand them protective suits, which everyone else working on that beach is wearing. Well, everyone else except for... Oh, Zordon, everybody, it's time for Ben and Betty. Fair warning, they are even worse than usual in this episode. I got a little bit of fair warning on that because I watched on Sunday evening, but just... whew. The two were contacted by Commander Shaw and asked to go to the beach, but not told why. So they just assumed it was a day off to go swimming and get some sun, so they came in beach clothes and sunscreen. But now, of course, they're absolutely willing to help out. They decide to take on an easy job, to everyone's relief, passing trash bags up a ledge to be taken to a truck. However, the bags stick to their hands and won't come off. Nate reaches into Betty's bag to examine their sunscreen, and it turns out it's actually glue. Yes, they covered themselves in glue. May I remind you that Ben once put together a completely broken virtual reality headset by himself, and he just covered himself and his sister in glue. I need to get away from it because, believe it or not, it actually gets worse. When the two of them are pulled apart, Betty tumbles into a pile of trash and realizes that some of it has stuck to her body. The two of them see this as a great way to help, diving into piles of trash to stick it to their bodies and take it to the truck. Let's see, rolling around in trash on a California beach. I would estimate that they've only been stuck by about, say, 15 or so loose needles and maybe about 27 shards of broken glass.
I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
Another worker runs up to Roxy doing the pee-pee dance. Oh, I should mention, Roxy has actually been placed in charge of this entire beach cleanup. Anyway, it's not the pee-pee dance. She's reporting to Roxy that they've found a sea turtle that seems to be in pretty bad shape. They run over there, and just for a second, I was actually really nervous that even maybe with CG, they were going to show us a sea turtle with like a six-pack ring wrapped around its neck or something. They, of course, didn't take it that far, but that ends up removing all of the weight from the situation because inside the box is a sea turtle that looks perfectly fine. But of course, everyone can see that this turtle is badly sick. Zoe even says that pretty bad shape is a massive understatement. She tells them to take the turtle to the Coral Harbor Marine Center, a rescue organization that she worked for prior to joining Grid Battle Force. Interesting. Nate and Zoe pull Roxy back and tell her, it's not just going to be the one. There's lots of wildlife on this beach. Roxy says that they'll find and rescue every single one, because just in case you forgot, this is a kid's show. Welcome to the Crystal Dimension. I don't think the episode ever gives this place a name, but the sky is the right color, or at least close, a pale orange, and there are big crystals growing from the ground. Scrozzle is working on this and that when a man teleports in, a human. It's clear who this is, but the episode makes an effort to hide their identity, so I'm going to play along. Scrozzle addresses them as Master, and indeed, it's Evox in disguise. Evox scolds Scrozzle for his warnings, saying that using this body is key to his plans. He demands to know where the generals that he was promised are, and Scrozzle says he just needs some data from a couple of annoying teenagers. Things that make you go, Evox, better get it done around, and he walks off. I mean, at least he can walk off, right? Scrozzle finds a birdcage that he saved and turns it into Moonatron. What's that? Oh, the name of the monster? I'm sorry, it's Moonatron. It's Trappertron, but it seriously just baffles me when they do not ensure that the monster's name is clearly heard the first time it's mentioned on screen. At the Marine Center, Nate and Zoe's warning comes true as animals are now flooding in. The doctor is happy to help, of course, but informs them that this is a donation-supported charity. They're going to need money to feed and medicate these animals until the beach has been cleaned up. Roxy says that's no problem. She's in charge of the beach cleanup. She'll just go inform her aunt that that requires animal care funding. I'm sure there won't be a single problem with that. At Collins Industries, not Collins Corp like I said earlier. By the way, the episode establishes no direct connection between the family and Wes Collins or BioCorp or anything from Time Force, etc., etc. People got pretty excited about that. Roxy, Blaze, and Zoe talk to Regina Collins, Roxy's aunt and the CEO. Now that I think about it, Regina looks kind of familiar. I've seen that face somewhere else before. Who was she? She was an astronomer. I wonder who Elsa she could have been. Yes, Regina is played by Miriama Smith, who played Elsa / Principal Randall on Power Rangers Dino Thunder. Kind of funny that her appearance is in an episode where we learn that Evox is pretending to be someone else, isn't it? So this pretty much goes exactly how you'd expect, but also I think about as well as could have been expected. When they ask Regina to pay for the animals' care, she says the company is already paying for the beach cleanup. Those animals could have been sick before the accident. They can't pay to take care of every single sick animal on the beach. However, she is not rude about it and does tell Roxy that she'll think about it, though Blaze points out it really was just a polite brush-off. Zoe told Regina that the animals will die without this help, and by the way, she did say die, so I guess animals can die, but people can only be destroyed. Anyway, Roxy says she has to go take care of something. She walks off a little ways and calls the Marine Center. Woohoo! This move is shady. It's for a good cause, but it's shady. Roxy tells the doctor at the center that Collins Industries will pay for 100% of the animal care, telling the doctor to do whatever he has to take care of the animals. You know, this move feels kind of familiar, especially associated with a company involved with a Collins. Oh well, I don't have time to force the issue. Zoe tells Roxy that they will get her aunt to change her mind, but suddenly a cage starts forming around them. Zoe leaps out of the way just in time. Oh no! Blaze and Roxy are trapped in a cage that they could escape from easily by turning to their side and squeezing through the bars. Seriously, the cage has horizontal bars on its sides, but not on the front. Trappertron shows up and blasts Zoe away after she calls for backup. After the theme song and some commercials, Nickelodeon is going to be running a game show called The Crystal Maze that will not air traditionally, only on DVR or streaming. Okay. Anyway, Trappertron goes down and confronts Zoe. This is a minor con. It's not even going to be listed in the pros and cons, but it is something I hated, so I want to mention it. Trappertron confronts Zoe and threatens her with a fight as she just stands there until the guys come in and rescue her. Zoe tells them that Blaze and Roxy have been trapped in some kind of cage. Not some kind of cage, Zoe, just a cage. It's not made of fruit. It's not floating 10 feet in the air. It's just a cage. Nate goes to check on them while the other four instamorph. Despite being the team's genius, Nate can't figure out to tell them to turn sideways. Scrozzle quietly teleports in, if quietly teleporting in is possible, and scans Blaze and Roxy from behind. Blaze turns around and sees Scrozzle, but Scrozzle got what he came for, so he teleports away. Nate, not morphing because he clearly just woke up from a nap, says he's going to figure this out. The fight moves inside the Collins building as the Rangers finish off the Tronics, though Trappertron clearly is not very impressed. Not that he does any better, firing one blast and then running away. The Rangers go to give chase, but Nate calls Ravi and says he needs his gorilla strength, so he doubles back. The other three Rangers catch up with Trappertron, who, well, traps them in a cage. And this time he remembered the horizontal bars all the way around. However, the Rangers are morphed, so they just slice the thing up. You may be wondering why it didn't occur to Nate to try to morph and do the same thing.
That would be a very good question.
Honestly, the ground monster fight ends pretty anticlimactically. Trappertron starts throwing up cage walls one after another, but Steel and Zoe just slice right through them. Pretty badass, I have to admit. Then Devin does a cable strike to get some air, slashes Trappertron, and that's it. Ravi runs over and activates those gorilla muscles. And the look on Roxy's face is very, very interesting. What you gonna say? Ravi makes the bars about 5 inches wider apart, and that makes all the difference in getting Blaze and Roxy out. Nate tells Ravi about how Scrozzle scanned the two, and he says that they will be on high alert. Over in the crystal dimension, Scrozzle uploads the data to robot bodies, and voila, evil Blaze and Roxy are back. Since these two are robots, and one has had its name given away by a toy, I will avoid confusion, because Blaze and Roxy are awake and moving around now, by calling these two Robo-Blaze and Robo-Roxy. Also, they have new colors now, Roxy being purple and Blaze gold, though we'll see what they're actually called a little later. The two see Evox and Neil, asking how they are alive. Scrozzle explains that their memories were restored from computer backups, and the rest is a little bit of that Scrozzle razzmatazz. Zordon bless you, Campbell Cooley. Zordon bless you. Evox says that there's lots of work to do, and they give an evil smile. At the Marine Center, the Rangers talk about how amazing it is that Regina changed her mind about paying for the animal care. Roxy looks distracted, and that's when her aunt comes barging in, telling the doctor that she never agreed to pay for anything. Roxy fesses up, telling her aunt that Zoe was right. It was their fault, and they need to take responsibility for it. This is interrupted by the woman from before, whose job it apparently is to interrupt conversations with sick turtles. They found another one, apparently the last injured or sick animal from the beach, and this one is tangled in plastic. Cue that anxious feeling again, but basically they just gave this one a plastic blanket. Regina realizes that this really is their fault and agrees to pay for 100% of the animal care. She thanks her niece, instead of firing her. The Rangers get a call and Blaze and Roxy distract Regina. Tronics attack a Morphex tower. The Rangers show up in an SUV and Devin points out that there's no Robotron. And Robo Blaze and Robo Roxy step out and say they don't need one. The Rangers say that they destroyed the avatars, but Robo Roxy says that was the old them, pointing out the purple in her hair, which looks fantastic, by the way, and Blaze also has an Aaron Hansen-like gold streak in his hair. Nobody morphs, they just run at each other. They have a really good original fight scene. It's back and forth, both sides are taking hits, it's nice and long. I really liked it. Blaze gets knocked down and does one of those robotic stuttered motion getting up things, revealing that the two of them are robots. However, they are robots that can also morph. Robo Roxy announcing that it's Violet and Amber that are in this year. Does this make Blaze the first Amber Ranger? Wait, I thought Amber was a shade of orange. Is Robo Blaze an Orange Ranger? Devin summons his cheetah claws and the fight resumes, but Roxy quickly blasts them away with her guns. Devin says they've got upgrades too, summoning the Beast X Ultra Blaster, and they blast them and the Tronics away. Completely. They're gone. Destroyed. That didn't take long. But proving that he is the smartest and most effective villain of this adaptation, Scrozzle has taken some more Morphex, escaping. Commander Shaw calls, reporting an incoming Gigadrone. The Rangers kind of forget the escalation rule, if they were ever subject to it in the first place, as they immediately form the Beast X Ultra Zord. I love how this thing rolls down the street, just completely acknowledging that it's far too heavy to walk. It takes 2 or 3 shots from Trapper Drone, goes straight to the gun/slash finisher. Over in the Crystal Light dimension, Evox is ready to destroy Scrozzle, since his new generals were destroyed so quickly. But Scrozzle has yet another surprise, reproducing the two. That's right, any time these two are destroyed, this machine will simply download them into brand new robotic bodies. So Robo Blaze and Robo Roxy are basically indestructible. But imagine having to remember multiple deaths. Just remembering one death messed up Vesper. Ben and Betty call Zoe and tell her that the beach cleanup is complete. In fact, the beach has apparently already been reopened, despite the fact that the trash truck is still sitting there. You maybe want to do an inspection first. Anyway, the two of them get an almost funny comedy stinger. It was so very close. Ben realizes that his wrist comm must have fallen off while they were cleaning the beach. Betty calls it and it rings from inside the trash trailer. They start checking the bags, but then the truck starts driving away. I smiled. I didn't laugh, but it got a small smile out of me. We head back to the Marine Center, where Human, Blaze, and Roxy are told about their robotic counterparts and find it understandably creepy. Regina calls them over to the tank, where the last turtle rescued is being placed into the tank to swim around until it heals back up. Regina has seen the heart of the cards, or honestly whatever, and yes, we all have to do our part to help the environment, or Animus will step on our faces, or Princess Shayla will cry, or Captain Planet will pour some lava on us, or what the heck ever, throw some freaking shades. Episode 2, Save Our Shores. Pros: Aunt Regina is a balanced corporate CEO, the epic return of Blaze and Roxy, and Scrozzle's charm. Cons: really preachy environmental message, basically everything about the Ranger side of the story, and a lack of balance. Season 2 promised us new things that we've never seen before, and it delivered! Save Our Shores was the worst non-Christmas episode of Beast Morphers I have seen. It gets 2.5 shades out of 5. I realized while writing this that saying the epic return of Blaze and Roxy sounds kind of weird because Blaze and Roxy have been here both episodes this season and haven't gone anywhere. I am, of course, referring to the return of the evil pair with Robo Blaze and Robo Roxy. Their evil personalities are just so much fun, as Blaze himself actually said once. And I do find it interesting how Robo Blaze's ranger suit now looks a lot more like Roxy than his old suit did. Ah, that old razzmatazzer himself. I miss Scrozzle almost as much as I miss Steel. He just has such a fun personality, especially in how it varies. He's cunning all the time, cowering to Evox, but lording himself over the Robos. And he just keeps winning. 2 episodes thus far, and he's successfully stolen Morphex in both of them, and has created 2 robotic generals that cannot die. Easily the most effective villain of the season. I feel like they were careful to not make Aunt Regina the villain of this story. Yes, she has a callous attitude about the wildlife, and Blaze points out that she was blowing smoke up their Megazord's tailpipe, but Roxy is quick to point out that Regina is not a bad person, and Zoe adds that she just truly doesn't feel that she's responsible for the wildlife that could have already been sick. Her stance absolutely made sense, even if she quickly folds on it, which kind of shows that she didn't really believe it to begin with. Anybody watch Power Rangers Wild Force? You people remember that Animus arc? Especially how preachy that show could get about saving the environment? Well, this felt like an episode rewritten out of that arc, or maybe an episode of Captain Friggin' Planet. It was just way too over the top with the save every single one of the animals, and corporations are so bad because of animals and pollution. I could have sworn we told Kite to shut up a long time ago. So there's this guy that's a mutual on Twitter who has been way down on Power Rangers as of late. He is part of the very small group that liked the Megaforces and Ninja Steels of the era because at least they were chock full of Ranger action, and that's what the show is supposed to be about. I don't really necessarily agree, but I did find his words echoing in my mind here. This episode was very super thin on Ranger action. They definitely decided to focus on the human plot, but that's an odd decision because there wasn't all that much to the human plot. It basically resolves in the middle of the episode, and then we get the Robo Blaze and Robo Roxy action, and then we get things with the Robotron and the Gigadrone, but that resolves quickly as well because the 2 of them were just so weak. Which makes how this episode was balanced either incredibly strange or make a whole lot of sense. I don't really recall the episode that this footage came from, but if this is all the Sentai episode provided, or conversely, as I've been hearing on Twitter, there's something in that footage that's actually being set up for this season later down the road, it does kind of make sense for the Ranger action to have been so short, but it just makes it really questionable in how they adapted this. It was just really badly matched to the human plot, which was so heavy-handedly environmental that it made this episode feel like it was only made for a tax credit or for some kind of E/I requirement. It is a strange feeling for me not to enjoy a non-holiday episode of Beast Morphers. This episode gave it a really solid try with things like the new robotic generals and Scrozzle owning every scene he's in, but the human plot really just let it down and just over-dominated the episode. I really hope that this was one that they just had to get out of the way, so let's do the very same. Let's take a peek at not just the 3rd episode of Beast Morphers 2.0, but the 900th episode of the Power Rangers franchise, Game On. It's not all fun and games when Devin's favorite video game is brought to life in the form of a new Robotron. The last time Power Rangers did a video game episode, I got really angry. Please don't let me down on this one, Beast Morphers. But for now, that is going to do it for another Power Rangers Beast Morphers 2.0 episode review. Thank you, heroes, so much as always for watching. Now that the review is concluded, you can let me know what you thought of this episode, as well as my review of it, by leaving a comment right down below. And while you're down there, make sure you smack the thumbs up button to let me know that you enjoyed this video. Until next time, heroes, may the power protect you. Remembered the hand switch this time. If there was nothing that particularly excited me on any doing this again. Which everyone on the beach is wearing. Again. Literally diving into piles of trash to stick it to their Evok's. Well, the doctor is happy. Dang it. Despite being the team's genius, as Nate goes to check on them, he can't seem to. I'm doing that again. Cue that. Oh gosh. And